Hey everyone, this is Mike,
Hey, and this is Josh.
and today we are
We're must see before you die, Mike.
must see before you die. And today we're
Also,
looking at a March movie, Leprechaun, the original, Jennifer Aniston,
yeah,
1993.
yes,
She starts Friends in 1994, and I bet they opened up the pocketbook to get her to play in this movie.
no, they didn't. This was her first role.
Yeah, I know, but oh yeah, so 94, she probably didn't pay her much in Friends either.
No. So this movie is one that I've never seen before, Mike. And after I watched it, I was glad that
I've
actually I
never
never
seen
watched.
it from the beginning to end myself, only bits and pieces of it.
Yep, came out in '93. It is rated R. Let's talk about that Rotten Tomato score real quick, Mike.
Yeah, let me share
Um,
that to everybody.
Okay. We got 27% critics and 32% audience. I tend to agree more with the critics here, Mike, on this one. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the audience was smoking to get a 32.
well, I mean, it must have been, I don't think it was a hit or a bomb or anything, but I think it must have done something because they did there's 7 movies in this
Well, it's like it had
franchise.
a pretty good backing, right? Lionsgate backed it.
Yeah, this one was in the theater, and so the second one even made it to the theater, Mike. The
Let
second
me
one.
tell you this, Josh. I thought this movie, looking at it now, was more of a comedy than it was horror.
Yeah.
I laughed more in this than I got scared at all.
So when I looked it up on YouTube to see if they had a version on there, they did, but you had to pay for it, and it said Leprechaun comedy. Didn't say anything about a horror movie at all. It just said comedy.
So the one I looked up said comedy / horror, so it had both of them. But I definitely laughed more than I was scared.
And let me put this out there: Warwick Davis did a good job as the Leprechaun. I mean, and he was active. I mean, he was running around everywhere, and he was doing stuff. He was driving golf cart or go karts and all this stuff all over. And he's always doing limericks and jokes and puns, and he's looking for me gold.
That's what bothers me with this movie is it had so much potential. To me, if it would have made a decision that I'm going to be horror, it would have been good and stop the comedy and the horror together. It it was just all over the place.
Yeah.
One of the worst movies maybe the worst movie we've reviewed.
Yeah.
So
So
what bothered me, we always talk about opening kills and trying
yes.
to hook the audience and get them to watch.
Yep.
The very first kill in this was a lady falling down the steps and breaking her neck. I mean,
An elderly lady too at that.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, give me something good right off the bat. Not you scared
Right.
somebody and they broke their neck down the falling down the steps. I just thought that was a very lame opening kill in a movie that you're trying to hook people on.
Right. So the story is that this guy, the woman's husband, found this gold over in Ireland or whatever, and then put the leprechaun in his suitcase and brought him back. That's not getting through TSA nowadays, Mike. A leprechaun in someone's suitcase. But he had the gold, and he came in a limousine and drinking, and I thought that was funny. And but yeah, he shot the leprechaun. So the thing about this movie is if he can't, he basically is indestructible. He can be hurt and he can be stunned, but like if you shoot him, he basically just stuns him. It doesn't kill him at all. Stuns him for a minute or two, right, Mike? And then he just gets back up. So when he stunned him by shooting him, he threw him in a crate. He threw him in a crate, put a 4-leaf clover on top of the crate, and just started nailing it. And so this 4-leaf clover basically locked the leprechaun in the box. But the leprechaun still has powers in the box, makes the guy have a stroke, and falls over. And I thought he was dead, but he's not dead yet.
Yeah, I thought he was dead.
Me too. Until I watched Dead Meat, and they said he wasn't dead yet. So, but yeah, that was horrible. Like, seriously, you just put him in a crate, like in a basement, and then you nail it with like 4 nails. Like, seriously, I don't know, Mike. What do you think about that?
It was awful, Josh. Again, I'm laughing at it. And he starts doing these nursery rhymes, trying to get, at the start of the movie is like doing a nursery rhymes for the wife to want to open it up to let him out because he's saying he's stuck in there and he wants to get out. But it's so cheesy. I mean, and then you get you got these other characters that come in. They're painting the house. They had bought this house.
Guys, I think the business was guys that paint. That was their business.
Three guys that paint or something like that. I don't know. 2.5 because a little boy. You had a little boy in there that was, he's trying to be like Ricky Schroeder or something back in the day, or some, 8 is enough or something. And then you had a guy that's kind of slow.
Yep. And that's the guy who played Francis in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and he also was the fat guy in Teen Wolf.
Yeah,
he was on Michael J. Fox's team in high school. So that's the only other roles that I know of him. Famously, I know him as Francis from Pee Wee Herman, who was a freaking jerk, spoiled, rotten jerk in that movie. But also, I want to mention the father of Jennifer Anderson. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Derek Morris in the movie. Zach Morris's dad. That's Zach Morris's dad. He was only in the show like 2 or 3 times, but he was the guy that played Derek Morris every time in Saved by the Bell.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was Derek Morris.
Okay.
So like, whoa, Derek Morris is in this movie. I mean, that's not his real name, but Jennifer Aniston's in this, and you can tell she's prissy and she's from LA, and she's like, wait a minute, like I gotta stay in this nasty house. There's no malls. There's no this. Basically, like a typical someone that lives in the city coming to live in a freaking bumpkin country area or desert. I think it was where is this, in Arizona or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I can't even remember where it was from, to be honest with you. I think
but yeah,
they had a tarantula, like some big tarantula climbing in the basement. I mean,
well, and like she was like, there's a big spider, and I was like, if I saw that, I would freaking go. Like, that's not just a little spider, dude. That's like a tarantula.
So I didn't take I took some notes. These are some of the notes that I took that I was like really shaking my head at. Like, number one, at some point they take off and the leprechaun gets on a tricycle and chases after them in a tricycle. You see this small person on a tricycle with their little legs just
somehow they're driving a truck. Somehow the leprechaun gets there at the exact same time they get there. So, but listen, Mike, you didn't tell the people how the leprechaun got out of the crate.
God, I'll be honest with you, I can't even remember now.
Ozzy, the slower guy, he goes down there and he's like listening or something, and then the leprechaun just breaks through because Ozzy like brushes off the 4-leaf clover on accident, and so the leprechaun's able just to punch through the thing, and he goes flying backwards, and he goes upstairs telling everybody about how he's seen a leprechaun, and no one believes him. They're like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, the thing that you said, and also the leprechaun gets an altercation with probably one of the stupidest cops I've ever seen in a movie. I mean, the guy, like, pulls over a person in a go-kart for the first. I mean, what rules was he breaking? What rule was he breaking by driving a golf cart anyway? But yeah, so he, not even a golf cart, like a little mini car, and he pulls him over, and then the leprechaun gets after him. But then this cop's running through the woods, and he has a nightstick because the leprechaun took his gun. And what does he do with a nightstick, Mike? Do you remember?
I'm trying not to remember, to be honest with you.
The leprechaun pops out. He throws it. He gets rid of his only weapon, Mike. Throws it at the leprechaun. Like, that did anything? You threw your only weapon you had left, dude, and then he sat against a tree, and the leprechaun popped on his shoulders and broke his neck.
Like, and then you forgot also, though, the leprechaun killed the guy at the pawn shop with a pogo stick.
Yeah, that was my favorite kill, Mike. The pogo stick kill is my favorite. Yeah, he bites this guy in the leg at the pawn shop, a poor innocent dude that was just trying to help these guys out, and then he, like, pogo sticks on his chest, and for some reason his face is all bloody, too. I don't know why, but it was. It looked like his face is ripped up. But yeah, the pogo stick kill was my favorite, Mike. To be honest, I wrote that.
I tell you something I did think was funny, and I had to show it to my son Anthony because he had never seen one before. Was the scene where Jennifer Aniston takes the cigarette lighter and burns the leprechaun's nose.
Yeah, you couldn't do that nowadays.
She pushed the cigarette lighter in, and then it popped out, and then she took it and burned him in the nose. I was like, Anthony, look, there's a cigarette lighter in the car. He's like, what is that? What is that?
Oh, did you notice that Jennifer Aniston in like 92, whenever this movie was filmed, had a cell phone already, Mike? You could tell she was uppity. And well, you can tell from LA is a bustling city, so of course they're gonna have cell phones there.
But also the little golf cart or go-kart that he was driving, somehow all of a sudden it gets a blade on the front of it.
Yeah.
And then he runs.
No, that's a totally different one, Mike. That's like one he built in there somehow.
Oh, God. Well, then it turns around and knocks the side of this big-ass truck, which is all steel back in the day. I don't even remember what the truck was. Flipped it over on its side with a little go-kart.
Yeah, flips it like 3 times in a row. Then, listen to this next one. They also stole a gag from Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger, when Jennifer Aniston picks the phone up and a little hand comes through and like touches her face. In Nightmare on Elm Street, it's Freddy's tongue that comes out of the phone and like licks the girl's face or whatever. But it totally stole from that.
Then they stole from Evil Dead.
Yes.
The leprechaun had its hand cut off, and the hand starts climbing up the wall.
Yes.
What about the leprechaun wearing roller skates?
Oh yeah, that's what I was just reading. Where he crashes through a fence, and it's like Wile E. Coyote crashing through something because it leaves his outline in the fence, Mike. That's what I said here. This is like a cartoon, dude. And he was holding on to the back of that Jeep when he had roller skates.
All right, so talk about the billy stick in the eye. I kind of thought that was cool.
Oh, yeah. So she does go back to the cop car, and the cop's dead, of course. But he tries to get her, and she takes a billy club. Somehow it got back in the car, even though the cop threw it in the woods. So she stabs him in the eye, and she goes in the back seat. He takes it out. He grabs one of the cop's eyes and puts it in his eye, and it works. That's like I said, that's like a Jeepers Creepers. They were ahead of the curve there.
So towards the end of the movie, Josh, it's getting towards the end of the movie.
Oh, what about when they were in that hospital or whatever, and he was in a wheelchair and going real fast? Remember that, Mike?
Yeah.
That's what I said here. I said I think it's just because he was short, so he couldn't move very fast. So they had to figure out ways that he could move fast, legitimately, like roller skates or that golf cart or being on in a wheelchair. You know what I mean? I think those were all ways to try to make him so he was like faster because he's not. You know what I mean? I don't know.
So what, I ain't gonna spend a ton of time on this, but the guy that was not slow found a bag of gold, and so the whole time
he swallowed a coin.
Yeah, he's trying to find 100 coins that were really his. That's been over time, but. So they find out the main guy was not dead at all. He had a stroke. And that's where you talk about that went into the hospital or the retirement home or whatever and talked to him.
Somehow that guy was in the elevator, in the ceiling of the elevator. How did that happen?
I don't know. But they start trying to look for 4-leaf clovers out in the middle of a pasture, and there's only one little section about 3 foot by 4 foot of clover in the whole field. Everything else is no clovers.
Right.
So I do think this was funny when the little boy that's in the movie, he's kind of got a mouth like a sailor anyway. He takes and finds a 4-leaf clover and takes a slingshot and pulls it back. And he says, F you, Lucky Charms. And and he slingshots the clover into the mouth of the leprechaun.
Yes. And that actually was a cool scene. The ending where that goes in, and then like the leprechaun's melting.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of the original Gremlins, where Stripe is melting at the end when the sunlight hits him. That's what it reminded me of. But the practical effect looked really cool, in my opinion. That was a highlight of the movie. And then he falls into this well, and then this other guy
throws gas in there.
He poured gas in there and blew it up for whatever reason. But yeah, so that's it. That's the end of the movie. It was horrible. I'm
So
gonna
we're
give
going to
my
do
rating.
coins or clovers.
Yeah, I'm gonna give my rate. So the only thing that could hurt him was the clover. My rating for this movie is a 1, Mike. I'm giving it a 1, Mike.
It's going to
Just
sound
because
like I copied you. I already had it in my mind a 1 as well.
it
It's
did have a
awful.
couple cool things. I like the pogo stick death. I like some of the practical effects. Some of the jokes, some of the puns were funny. I like Jennifer Aniston in this. She was all right. I like seeing Derek Morris in it. And I liked the line "F you, Lucky Charms," and the end part, the melting, was okay. So I'll give it a 1 if I'm going by that. But yeah, and like I
This
said,
is
there's
one of
6
those
more.
movies, if you have nothing better to do.
Well, there's 6 more movies in this franchise, Mike.
Yeah, you might want to just skip.
Are we
Just skip
watching them, Mike?
I don't know, Josh. I mean, this was my idea too, because I was thinking March, St. Patrick's Day. Let's watch Leprechaun.
Yeah,
Ultimate failure on my part.
that's right. So now, what's your rankings 1 and my rankings 1, Mike? So what
It's
was your?
probably
I said my favorite kill. What's yours?
God, Josh. They're all kind of.
The leprechaun kill at the end. Did you like that one the best?
Probably so. I mean, I
Okay.
just they all were so cheesy, really. Overall, I mean,
Oh,
even the pogo stick, cut to the scene, and you saw it, but like, I could see the leprechaun jumping up and down. I mean, I'd be laughing the whole time.
Yeah. Hey,
There's nothing there that scared me at all. I mean, it was just.
There was a funny part where, and they kept shooting Leprechaun with a shotgun, point blank range, and it wasn't doing anything. There was a funny part where Leprechaun was looking for his gold, and he got a box of Lucky Charms, and he was like, "What the heck?" And he looked and saw a Leprechaun on the box, so he tried to eat it. And he was like, "Blood!" and spit it out. I thought that was funny. But yeah, it was horrible. I don't recommend it. And like you said, if you have nothing else to do, if you want to binge these, so I heard that I watched a bunch of different things, and so I heard the second one's atrocious. The third movie I heard is actually the best, and Warwick Davis says that that's his personal favorite is the third one. It's Leprechaun in Las Vegas. And then the fourth one, they're in space, and that one looks horrible. The fifth one, I think that's when they go to the hood, and I heard that's actually not bad, and then Back to the Hood isn't bad either. And then they kind of reboot it, and WWE does their own Leprechaun. WWE did a Leprechaun movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's different though. It's not connected to this one. It's just a different thing. Then in 2018, when it was all the rage, when Halloween did a reboot and basically was a direct sequel to the original, they did a Leprechaun movie that's a direct sequel to this movie. So the second Leprechaun movie, the real second Leprechaun movie, doesn't really connect to this Leprechaun movie at all. It's almost like a different Leprechaun. So this movie that came out in 2019 is a direct sequel to the Leprechaun. It's got Ozzy in it. The guy who plays Ozzy in this movie, he is in that movie.
Okay.
So yes. And it takes place at that same house that this one took place in.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a direct sequel. That's what I saw. So
I hate to say it, I'm just probably not going to spend the time on it, Josh.
It looked better, Mike. It doesn't have Warwick Davis is not the Leprechaun. It does look a little better, but I don't know. Probably.
I'll be honest with you. I'm embarrassed that I've wasted an hour and a half, 90 minutes of my life watching this. It was that
Mike,
bad.
guess who idea it was? So we've been doing a lot of slasher movies and things lately. So it's time to change it up. And I think we decided on the first movie we're going to do after this one. We're going to do Poltergeist. The first Poltergeist, guys. So look forward to that. And I'm ready for a change up here.
Yeah,
so,
me too.
Okay, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Must See Before You Die. Also, where can they check us out, Mike?
Check us out on Facebook at Must See Before You Die Horror Community. Yes. We try to post a lot of things on there, movie reviews coming out, and even just some film information out on movies coming out or that have came out. Yes. So you guys have a good one. Josh, take care. I'm sorry I put you through that.
Yeah, you should be.
Bye.
Bye.